Now at 5, Joplin first responders use a now vacant school building to train for possible emergencies. Plus, rural counties in southeast Kansas face an attorney shortage that's only getting worse. And
not enough evidence, but pressing forward. I'm Skyler Henry on Capitol Hill as House Republicans outline why they're launching an impeachment inquiry into President Biden as Democrats push back.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
The Joplin Fire and Police Departments today conducted a training exercise to prepare responders for situations where they all need to come together, like an active threat event. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Dow Quick. 13 other area emergency services agencies also participated in the exercise. The training is part of the Active Threat Integrated Response course hosted by Louisiana State University. MSSU and Crowder College volunteers played roles required for the training.
The instructors have set together a few unknown scenarios. We're not sure. They're going to basically throw us in the deep end, and we're going to work through it, see what we do right, how we can learn, and what we can do better.
There's going to be a lot of chaos if something like this were to happen in our community. And the more we train together, the better we're working together, the more likely that chaos will go away quicker and things will happen, and saving lives is the ultimate goal there of us coming together to do that.
More than 40 officials participated in the 3-day-long course. The training happened in West Central Elementary, which is currently not being used for classes. Carl Junction School District hired 2 new leaders this week for its primary 2nd and 3rd grade building. Jake Stevenson is stepping in as the head principal with Austin Rhodes as assistant principal. Though their hiring process has been less traditional, both principals expressed excitement to get started in their new roles. Part of this has to do with their obvious passion for the Carl Junction community.
My Carl Junction experience by being a teacher and a coach. And through my coaching experience, learned that I wanted to be a leader in any way I was called to lead.
18 just great years of working with people, and really it's I've always had the philosophy of being a servant leader, and that's really what I'd like to focus on doing in this new role.
According to the principals, the transition has been smooth and successful as they step into their leadership positions. Kansas is facing a growing problem, a shrinking number of attorneys in rural counties. In southeast Kansas, the attorney shortage is contributing to overcrowding at some jails. Crawford County hit a record high of 140 inmates this summer. Labette County is also at near capacity. In Cherokee County, Sheriff David Grove says his jail has room to spare, but the attorney shortage is creating longer jail stays for inmates.
And especially in a rural area like this, you have a certain number of defense attorneys that are willing to take on court-appointed cases. And so if there's conflicts for whatever reason, or if they're not able to provide a criminal defense to a specific inmate, then the court may have to look outside of our immediate area, which has happened several times over the last couple of years.
Sheriff Grove says it's taking about 2 years to get inmates in and out of the door. He says the person they've been holding the longest right now has been at the jail in the county for 656 days. KOAM's Tanya Bach's going to further explore the issue of a Kansas attorney shortage tonight at 6, 9, and 10. Temps climbed a bit today. Blue skies. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy.
Yeah, it definitely turned out to be a nice day, but also a very warm / hot day. And we're still up there, 86 Monette, 87 in Lamar. Look at Miami, 91 degrees. We're at 93 in Neodesha. Independence is sitting at 94 degrees. So it is kind of hot across the region. We do have clear skies, blue skies, nothing going on across the entire Central Plains. Throughout the evening, we slide back through the 80s, 70s, eventually into the mid 60s later on tonight. But the heat, it's going to stick around into the weekend. It's going to be dry for the next several days. We do have changes late next week. Our new pattern begins, so we're going to talk about all that coming up here in just a bit.
Catch you in a few. House Republicans held their first hearing as part of an impeachment inquiry into President Biden. The hearing, predictably, was a partisan affair, with Republicans attacking the president and Democrats defending him. Reporter Skyler Henry has details from Capitol Hill.
The House Oversight Committee held its first hearing into whether President Joe Biden should face impeachment charges. But for the GOP chairman, it's not much of a question.
The House Oversight Committee will examine over 24 pieces of evidence revealing Joe Biden's corruption and abuse of public office.
Republicans allege the Biden family received millions of dollars in foreign money through Hunter Biden's business dealings. And when the Department of Justice began investigating, President Biden tried to protect his son.
Hunter Biden cashed in by arranging access to Joe Biden, the family brand.
Whether President Biden directly benefited from his son Hunter's business dealings sparked contentious debate during Thursday's hearing.
The committee has received 12,000 pages of bank records. Here they are, right in front of us, printed double-sided, and not a single page shows a dime going to President Joe Biden.
The courts actually have rejected that. They've said that money going to family members is in fact a benefit.
The principle of American law is that people are responsible for their own conduct and not the conduct of their adult children. Is that right?
That's correct.
Thank you.
The committee intends to subpoena Hunter Biden and the president's personal and business bank records as early as this week. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Democrats also used their time to highlight that Republicans were holding this hearing as Congress faces a budget deadline with a looming government shutdown. U.S. Army Private Travis King is back on U.S. soil now. King, who was recently set free by North Korea, landed at Joint Base San Antonio's Fort Sam Houston this morning, according to the Defense Department. U.S. military officials say King, quote, willfully and without authorization crossed the military demarcation line into North Korea in July. North Korean state media reports the country decided to expel King, and U.S. officials say they made no concessions for King's transfer. Still ahead, getting vaccinated for winter.
The CDC says now is the time to get a flu vaccine. I'm Bradley Blackburn with what to expect this flu season and how families can stay safe.
And later, how crash test dummies based on women's bodies are helping make driving safer for women. Topping today's Health Watch, those fatty foods we snack on, they could be affecting our memory. An Ohio State University study of mice found that a high-fat diet led to an inflammation response in the brain, which contributed to memory loss. They also found highly processed ingredients had a similar effect on memory. Decriminalizing drug possession has not led to a rise in overdose deaths. Researchers from the NYU Grossman School of Medicine looked at the results of new laws enacted in Oregon and Washington in 2021. And they found even as drug arrests dropped, overdose deaths did not rise. The fall and winter respiratory season is approaching, and new data shows many Americans are not planning to protect themselves with vaccines for the flu and COVID-19 or RSV. Bradley Blackburn tells us why health officials hope everyone rolls up their sleeves.
With COVID-19, flu, and RSV circulating in the coming weeks and months, top public health experts are spreading the word. Vaccines are safe, effective, and protect against serious illness. Dr. Mandy Cohen is the director of the CDC.
We're going to keep monitoring to understand how bad this particular season will be, but we can act now with tools to make this season more mild if we all get vaccinated.
A new survey from the National Foundation for Infectious Diseases shows while 65% of adults know vaccination is the best way to prevent flu hospitalizations and deaths, 43% do not plan to or are not sure they will get vaccinated. Only 40% plan to get the new updated COVID-19 vaccine and the RSV shot if they are over 60.
28% of U.S. adults who are at higher risk for flu-related complications said they were not planning to get vaccinated this season. To us in this business, that is worrisome.
Last flu season was moderately severe. Activity levels returned to pre-pandemic levels. There were 31 million illnesses, 360,000 hospitalizations, and 21,000 deaths. 176 pediatric deaths were also associated with flu, the third largest number since reporting began nearly 20 years ago.
More than 80% of those were not fully vaccinated against flu. We want all of our kids to be protected.
The CDC reminds that receiving multiple vaccines at one time is safe and effective, giving you multiple shots at protection. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Data shows last season flu vaccines reduced hospitalizations and deaths among adults by nearly half and by 3/4 among children. Doctors say they're facing a backlog as patients catch up on cancer screenings. The researchers note almost 10 million people missed screenings during the pandemic. The report says that reduced diagnoses for 6 major cancers. Well, now doctors are urging people to catch up on routine appointments and screenings. That is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, why Kia and Hyundai are recalling more than 3 million vehicles.
Plus, the heat sticks around as we head into the weekend. When are we going to cool down? We'll look at that coming up. Well, it turned out to be another great day for us today. Sunny skies across the region, temperatures kind of teetering on hot, upper 80s into lower 90s. It looks pretty good right now. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. Crystal clear blue skies for us right now. Look at these temps. It's warmer or hotter on the Kansas and the Oklahoma side. Yates Center 93, 93, Neodesha, Independence at 94. Then you work into the upper 80s, Monette 86, 88, and Nevada. Anderson is sitting at 88 degrees, but look at the warmth. It's increasing across the Central Plains. So we're going to stay warm. We're going to stay mainly dry as we go through the next couple days. Outside right now, 7th and Rangeline 88. Feels like 88. Visibility is good. South winds 5 to 10. If you are getting outside throughout the evening hours, we're going to slide slowly back through the 80s, 70s, eventually into the mid 60s a little bit later on tonight, but nothing going on here. We are high and dry, clear skies. Look at the entire Central Plains. Nothing going on. Out toward the west, nothing going on. This is our weather as we go through the next couple days. We're going to stay pretty much hot and mainly dry as we go through the weekend into early next week. Then we'll start to see some changes. All right, let me walk you through the next 48 hours. 66, 67 by morning. Clear skies, we warm, mid 80s by noon. We'll stop 4:30 tomorrow afternoon. 90 in Stockton, 87 in Neosho, 90 in Miami, Chanute, up to about 92 degrees. So it's going to be kind of hot once again for us tomorrow. A few clouds in here tomorrow night. We back down, upper 60s, and then Saturday, much of the same. Mostly sunny, hot, temperatures upper 80s to lower 90s for high. So we're going to stay very consistent over the next few days. 68 in the morning, 85 by noon. High temp tomorrow, much of the same, 89. And of course, tomorrow night, we have high school football. It's going to be great. 83 at kickoff, 75 by the fourth quarter. So it's perfect football weather. It's just a little bit on the hot side. So when are we going to start to see at least some changes? Right now, dominated, big dome of high pressure. It sits here through the weekend, all the way into early next week, and then watch what happens. Here's the beginning of our new pattern that is going to last for the next year. This storm system, so this is next Tuesday, chances for rain Tuesday night into Wednesday, and then also behind it, it's going to draw in some cooler air, so we are going to feel more fall-like late next week, but at least for the next couple days, it's going to be hot and mainly sunny. 89s next 2 days, 90 on Sunday, 89 Monday, 86 on Tuesday. Thunderstorm chances Wednesday and Thursday, but look at this now, 70s for highs. Late next week into next weekend.
It's going to start feeling a lot more like fall, Douglas.
I know, it's going to feel pretty good.
Looking forward to it. Thanks. Coming up, what the latest jobs report shows about the current labor market. Topping today's Consumer Watch, new claims for jobless benefits remain low as the overall job market remains strong. The Department of Labor reported today initial claims for unemployment insurance last week were 204,000. That's up 2,000 claims from the previous week's revised total, which was the lowest level since late January. Meanwhile, U.S. consumer spending was much weaker in the second quarter than previously estimated. Kia and Hyundai are recalling more than 3.3 million vehicles over potential fire risks. Federal regulators say Hyundai is recalling 13 different models from 2010 through 2015 because a brake fluid leak could spark a fire. Kia is recalling a dozen models from 2010 through 2019 due to a possible electrical short that can also ignite. Statistics show there's one car crash every 6 minutes in the U.S. Despite being less prone to get into wrecks, women are more likely to be injured or die in a crash than men. Ian Lee reports on an effort to make cars safer for them.
When it comes to designing crash test dummies, researchers say it's time to get smarter.
This is the average female.
Engineers in Sweden have developed a dummy based on a woman's body.
More narrow shoulder area and a wider hip area.
It's also lighter and has a lower center of gravity. All things experts say are important to consider when testing collisions at high speeds.
Muscles in a neck is weaker normally in a woman. This neck is more flexible and has more movements.
A University of Virginia study found women are 73% more likely than men to be injured in a frontal car crash and up to 18% more likely to die. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety in the U.S. uses a small female dummy to see how a 12-year-old reacts in a crash. It weighs around 100 pounds, but safety advocates say the average woman weighs a lot more and are urging government regulators to redesign dummies. Swedish engineers hope Europe will accelerate the change.
Both males and females should be equally represented.
To keep roads safer for everyone. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety says it's looking to alternatives to redesigning crash test dummies, including cadaver research to better understand how people are killed in crashes. Another important alert for parents, roughly 260,000 Rainbow Road Series board books have been recalled over a choking hazard for small kids. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says the small rings that bind the book together can become detached. There are no reports of injuries so far. Consumers can contact parent company Make Believe Ideas Limited for a refund on recalled products. Final check of the forecast up next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, how a facility in Georgia is recycling used batteries from electric vehicles. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to hear from an attorney in Iola, Kansas about the state's attorney shortage. Plus, more on how training in a vacant school building is helping Joplin first responders prepare for an emergency. And the Pitt State Gorillas look to keep their undefeated season alive as they prepare for a Week 5 matchup against Northeastern State. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. A designer based in London has created the world's first ice cream made from plastic. The flavoring in the frozen treat comes from combining the same kind of plastic used in plastic bottles with bacteria and enzymes that digest the plastic and then transform the leftovers into molecules that make the vanilla flavor. It's not for sale, but part of an art show in London called Guilty Flavors.
This project started from a very big frustration about how the plastic recycling system cannot keep up. Also that despite all the information around plastic production is not decreasing, it's actually increasing.
The plastic transformation process was developed by scientists in Scotland, but the ice cream has not yet gone through any regulatory testing to ensure it's actually safe for human consumption. So if your mouth was watering in anticipation of that delicious plastic ice cream, well, you're gonna have to wait a little bit, at least.
I don't even know how I feel about that.
Oh, I don't feel good about that.
Not at all.
So, well, I feel good about that.
Yeah, and it's going to stay hot as we go into the weekend. Near 90 the next several days. We're going to stay dry through the weekend. Rain chances next Wednesday.
Not enough to melt plastic ice cream. Thanks for joining us. CBS Evening News is next. And of course, we'll be right back here for KOAM News at 6. Let's make it a great evening.